So, do you have any questions? Any questions about that? About the quiz? Okay, so I discussed about the SDN technology and how it might enable the IoT networks in the previous session. So now I'm going to be discussing about an example scenario that uses SDN technology. So these are some situations that I mean, these are some figures that I will be using to explain how the SDN controller will work and how the communication will be done. So the SDN controller will be used to control the data traffic in the network. So in the SDN technology, basically, the network will be divided or separated into two systems, the control plane and the data plane. So the control plane will be handled by the controller. The control plane will be handled by the controller. It will be like the code of the network. So it will know all the details regarding the network devices that are in the network. It will know the network topology, um, and the situation of each device, the condition of each device. Those things the controller will know. After that, the controller will give commands to each of the devices on how to forward the data between devices. So that part will be done by the controller. Then once the commands are given to the devices will be responsible in transferring the data or transmitting the data towards the destination. So after so the devices need to follow the commands that are given. So when we are discussing about the control plane, the controller will be uh, will be uh, will be having the knowledge about each of the network devices and the network links that are created between devices, and also it will know about the configuration of each of the devices, configuration that is available with each of the devices. uh, any other details regarding the network devices condition will be known by the controller. Uh, Also, the controller will know the data traffic of the network. So, like the current data traffic in the network. So, based on the data traffic available, the controller will decide the optimal path to, transmit the data and send the data towards the destination in the most appropriate manner. So the controller will be having all the details. Uh, so also there will be certain requests made by the client to the network regarding the uh, quality of service that the customer requires. So such kind of requests will be made to the controller. So we discussed about requests made by customers through the northbound interface in one of the previous slides, I think. So in this case, we discussed about the customers requesting the controller or the network to um, give some certain performances. So one such thing is that the client will request the controller to give a certain level of quality of service in the communication. So if the customer makes such kind of request, the controller will address those kind of concerns and will try to achieve the quality of service that is requested by the customer. So the quality of service in here could be something related to the packet delivery, the delivery of the packets reliably to the destination. So in there, actually, packet loss should be minimized, and the delay for the communication should be minimized. So those things can be considered as quality of service parameters. So the quality of service parameters that are defined by the client will be taken into consideration by the controller. So the controller has to follow the requests that are given by the client. So then the controller will also be responsible for configuring the devices which are in the network. Also, the controller will be responsible for knowing the different, components. Sorry, the controller will be responsible for knowing the uh, knowing the situation about the links that are there between the devices in the network. If there's some kind of broken link, the controller will know those broken links. And also, if there are some broken links, the controller will also have to do, fixing of those kind of links. The controller will have to, maintain the connection paths between the network devices. Anyway, like the controller will be therefore responsible for the data links that are created between network devices, and the controller has to maintain those links properly. And then the open flow protocol is used by the controller to communicate with each of the network devices. So the controller will also need to know uh, the condition of the devices, and if one of the devices are not working, those devices will be removed from the routing table, for example, and data will not be transferred to those kind of devices, right? So the mm, so uh, another thing is that uh, the the network can be made secure by using the controller. So if there are some attacks that are made to one of the devices, which are known as denial of service attacks or DOS attacks, so such kind of attacks can be happen in cases where a certain uh, unauthorized device is there, and that unauthorized device wants to block the customers accessing a certain server, for example. So, in order to block it, the unauthorized device will be sending multiples of unwanted message requests to the certain device. So, if this, let's say this is the uh, server that a customer wants to access for a certain service, then if unauthorized devices send large amounts of requests, then this device will be engaged in addressing those requests, and the legitimate requests will not be addressed on time. So in such cases, the the network will not be able to address the request of the client. So the client request will be forgotten; they will not be addressed. In that kind of cases, the controller will take actions to mitigate the effect from these unauthorized devices and mitigate the and not respond to such kind of requests by these kind of unauthorized devices. So some kind of denial of service attacks can be mitigated or reduced when we have the SDN controller. The SDN controller will be able to quickly understand that huge amounts of requests and are made to a certain single device in the network, and controller will be able to further investigate about the um authorized situation of the device, whether that device which is sending such uh, requests I mean, whether that device is an authorized device or an unauthorized device. So the controller has the ability to do investigations on that, and so get the information regarding that. Also, another important thing about SDN controlling is that once the geographical area of the network that is controlled by the SDN controller is increasing, sometimes we use multiple control uh, planes or multiple controllers to control the network. So there could be one SDN controller for one network one network area, and another controller to control the network devices in another network area. So these controllers can be dedicated to certain areas. However, the controllers will have mutual connection between them to exchange information regarding the entire network. So that the between the controllers there will be a synchronized communication. So by doing so, the communication will enable the controllers to have the idea about the entire network network of the uh, I mean of under their control. Therefore, but there will be multiple controllers that are dedicated for each geographical location, and those kind of controllers will be connected to each other, and the entire communication will be run like that. So therefore, like multiple control systems can be used. So actually, we discussed about SDN technology, and I think we discussed about the benefits also in the slides and in the discussion that we did already. I think so. We discussed about how SDN actually helps in many ways. So this is kind of a summary of the benefits of SDN technology. So one benefit will be utilizing inexpensive switches with you know little soft with little software or processing ability. So what we mean by that is that the resources that will be needed to implement SDN will be less costly. We can implement SDN with less cost devices or low cost devices, and so we can use servers, and we can use the standard uh, you know uh, devices such as servers, and the servers with less processing ability even to implement the uh, you know uh, virtual network functions, and then we can use the SDN controller to control those servers. Specific hardware are not required, therefore. Therefore, the implementation is going to be less costly. So because of that, the cost of the network, the cost for implementing the network functions is going to be less. Then reliable routing can be done using SDN technology. So in there, actually, centralized control of the network operations will be done, and then we can maintain a global view of the network traffic, and make sure that the data is reliably sent to the destination. Then service quality also can be improved because the SDN controller can address the requests made by the client, and the request will be reached at the controller. So the controller will know the request of the customer. Based on that, it will observe the entire network and will address the request considering all the constraints in the network. Also, security can be made possible with the SDN architecture, where the SDN can filter packets and also remove unauthorized access into the network. Then it can actually act as a simple firewall at the edge of the network. And it also will forward the suspicious traffic to top layer firewalls and data services, so that the those kind of services will take the necessary steps to prevent suspicious attacks. Currently, there are some tech companies that are using SDN architecture already. So some of the companies include this, telecom company, Google, Facebook, Verizon, likewise Microsoft, so on. So these companies have their dedicated SDN controller to control all the networks that they have under their control. So they will have a main, headquarters or head centralized controlling unit, and that centralized control unit will be connected to all the sub networks, and the sub networks will be controlled by this centralized controller. So one such application where we use SDN architecture is the SD-WAN, or software defined wide area network. So software defined wide area network is a uh, you know uh, uh, like a uh, great example for the implementation of SDN technology. So in the SD-WAN technology, we are considering application or a scenario that uses the SDN architecture to control uh, networks in different geographical areas. So WAN, or wide area network, as you probably know, is used to connect devices over longer distances in the geographical area. So if there's a certain network site at a certain location in the world, let's say it's in UK, another one in, let's say, in USA, or maybe in a state in USA, let's say. So those different sites can be controlled by one centralized controller. So this centralized controller will be inside this box. So centralized controller will be inside this box, and there are different components that define the controller functions. So there are different components that are actually enabling the software defined network controller functions. So there's some functions called vBond, vManager, vSmart, likewise, that are unique functions of the centralized controller. So this centralized controller will be managing the controlling messages and the management functions of the network. So the centralized controller will be actually uh, working as the kind of the main controlling unit, or the boss of the network. So this centralized controller part will be connected to each of the each of the network sites that I mentioned. So there are different sites in UK, USA. So there could be certain, maybe let's say some other country or another state in that country. Let's say in USA you can have some New York, some kind of other state. So there could be different locations that have these networks under this organization. So let's say it's Sri Lanka or India, let's say, and likewise, but there are different sites in different locations in the world, and so all these networks will be somehow connected to the centralized controller. So once all these network components are connected to the centralized controller unit, then the network devices can be controlled from this remote location, from this centralized controller. All the network components and their uh, control functions can be managed by the control. Apart from that, initial configuration of these devices which are connected to this centralized controller, the initial configurations of each of the network components in a certain site. Let's say if there's a site and there are network components. So if a certain network components was added newly to the network, then that component can be quickly configured using the centralized controller. So the component has to just be connected to the network. And once that connection is complete, the connection will be leading the device to connect to the centralized controller. So the centralized controller can access this added network component and configure the network component in an appropriate manner, such that it can receive the control commands given by the centralized controller. So therefore, uh, the network components can easily can get connected to the network through this centralized controller. Also, the network components um, uh, do not need to do any kind of initial configuration on their own. That will be done by the centralized controller in a uh, uh, in a predefined manner. So we call this plug and play in here. We call this plug and play. Only plugging is needed. The rest of the functions will be done by the centralized controller. Also, we call this something known as zero touch provisioning, or uh, ZTP. So zero touch provisioning is the term that is used. Zero touch provisioning. So zero touch provisioning means that uh, the we don't have to do any kind of configuration of the devices by ourselves. There's no need to do any changes to the devices. The device will be automatically configured into the network through the controller and related functions in the controller. So such kind of benefits are in this SD-WAN technology. The centralized controller will be handling the network operations. It will be observing the network operations in each of the sites. And if any configurations are required in any of the network components, it will do it through the centralized location. So, I think this page actually has the benefits of network virtualization. So in general, network virtualization has these benefits. So network virtualization means the combination of both the SDN technology and the NFV, or the network function virtualization technologies. So the benefits of both those technologies combined is what we call as network virtualization. So in this slide, the benefits of network virtualization is given. So basically, the cost of implementing the network can be reduced by using network virtualization. So what we mean by that is that once we use virtual functions or virtual network functions, then we can actually reduce the amount of hardware used for doing such functions. Then we can also improve the adaptability of the network to different requests. And we can increase the speed of the data communication. Also, we can reduce the network downtime or the delay in the communication and we can reduce the downtime or the network failure time. The controller will automatically adjust the data traffic based on the available links, and if there are any fallen down links or broken links, the controller will try to configure that situation. So the downtime time can be reduced. Then fault tolerance can be done, which means that the network will be tolerating faults, and the network can adapt to the faults in the network. So, uh, so basically, the controller will be able to observe the faults in the network and also fix the faults in the network as soon as possible. These are some of the abbreviations that were used. So API refers to application programming interface. So it's actually application programming interface. This should be, there's some wrong mistake in here. Programming interface. And then command line interface, graphical user interface, and machine to machine is M2M, NFV. Then P2P is point to point communications. Then SDN means software defined networking. SD-WAN means software defined wide area network. Then VM means virtual machine. With that, I think the abbreviations end. So, any questions so far? Do you have any questions? Okay, so I will give you attendance monitoring part. So you can mark your attendance there. So in the meantime, I will give you some announcements regarding the module. With regard to the IoT project, you need to uh, complete it by 31st of January, right? I have extended the deadline for regular and lateral entry, I think. So both of you can submit by 31st of January. So you need to submit a report and a video demonstration of the project. So the report must contain text that is written by you, and you cannot, even though you are doing it with a group member, it's better if you can write the text on your own in a unique style. So don't use the same text that your member used to write the details. In performance analysis of the project, try to use your own words to explain the results. So by doing so, you'll be able to get good marks. Otherwise, sometimes I will reduce marks if you copy from other students and submit the same thing. So try to write on your own. So don't submit the same report with the same text content as your friend. So I mean, it's okay to put the same figures, and the video demonstration, it can be the same. But text content, write on your own. The report content, you can write on your own. Then you can submit those things by 31st of January. So each and every person in the group must submit their own, their report on their own. So don't ask your friend to submit on behalf of you. You have to submit your report under your account in LMS to get the mark. If you haven't submitted your report, under your account, you will not get marks for the project, right? So like you just you have, I know the group members will be mentioned in the report, but each of you need to submit individually your report to the LMS. You can submit both the report and the video demo. So once you have the submission only, I will be able to mark it and give a grade. Otherwise, I cannot give a grade. You haven't submitted the documents I requested. If you have any questions related to that, please ask. Right. So if you, I will try to, like, uh, give the marks as quickly as possible. So for, for that, I think I need your submissions on that deadline. So basically, that is the message regarding the IoT project. So each of you need to submit the report individually under your account in the LMS. If you don't submit your document, then you will might not get marks. So be careful about that. Don't ask your friend to submit and just wait. You need to also submit on your own. Then I also want to say that about the assignments. I have given all the assignments for this module so far. The last assignment I have given about the SDN architecture and the sample question exam question related to SDN. So have you marked your attendance so far? If you haven't marked your attendance, let me know. Have all of you marked your attendance or not? I think all of you have marked, right? I think all of you have marked your attendance, hopefully. Uh, if you haven't marked, you can mention. Anyway, I will give you 1 minute. So in the LMS, I have given all the assignments by now. So all the assignments that are due for this module have been already given. Um, and so I won't give any other assignments. So anyway, in-class quizzes will continue. In-class quizzes will continue. And on the Friday, I will not ask. I mean, if you want, you can come and meet me if you have any questions, right? If you have any questions, you can come and meet me on Fridays during 2 to 4. So I think Inula, you can mark your attendance now. Have still have it. So on Fridays you can come and meet me if you have any questions regarding IoT project or module related questions. So by doing so, you can get the okay.
Excuse me,
Yes.
Miss, I have followed all the steps in when installing the MQTT local server, but
Uh-huh.
I couldn't log into the server uh, in
Uh,
MQTT Explorer.
It's because of that error that we discussed about in the network port forwarding. Is it because of that? So when you're trying to log in using your IP address, you don't get you get an error, right? Disconnected from server. Is it
Yes,
like
Miss.
that? So did
Some
you?
steps have provided in the YouTube video
Yeah,
you
yeah,
link, but
yeah, yeah.
I completed all these steps, but it it is not still. Uh, solved.
Did you try to see whether your IP address was updated or something? Because IP address gets changed every time your Wi-Fi changes. Did you try with different IP addresses?
Actually, I pinged the IP address using command prompt as a IP config and uh, got my IP, and then I insert that one.
Y- you did you check whether the IP address was changed?
Uh, no, miss, it is static. I think.
A static IP means Ethernet. You mean you're using Ethernet communication? Is it like that?
Yeah, both I tried but couldn't solve.
So maybe just run the IP config again and check whether you can get the same IP address or not. Uh, because if your IP address is changed, if it is different now, I think you need to update it with the most latest IP address in that code you are giving. Uh, you can try to change the IP address and check that again. Uh, will you be able to do that?
Yeah, miss, I think that is not enough because it is having some another issue. I think some can't allowing the port. Uh, I allowed the port in my firewall
Okay.
as mentioned in the video. But
Yeah.
do you have any other video of that configuring that part?
I think I have shared those video as references in the LMS page. So I think I will try to, I mean, share that with you in this class in the chat. Maybe at the end of today's session, I will share that with you. So maybe you can check those videos as well. Is it okay with you? I think that something is wrong with the commands or some kind of IP address is wrong or something like that. So maybe you can check all those things again. If not, um, you can try to just if nothing works, maybe you try to uh, access through the loopback address, the 127.0.0.1. I think that address works, right? You are fine with that, no?
Yeah, miss, almost the local host one is works.
Okay.
Another
Yeah. Yeah.
one is
So, hmm, okay, I will try to share with you YouTube links or the instruction websites that I can find. Then you can follow the instructions there again and see how it works. So in the video that I have uploaded, I think it works, right? I think maybe there were two videos where I got the error and another video about how to solve the error. So did you watch that and maybe followed everything there?
yeah, miss, but I have found one video. I think another one
Uh-huh.
is missing. So I will watch that
Okay.
one. Let you know.
Okay. Thank you. So about another, I think there was Inula, right? Inula Chandira. So can you give me your ID Inula, can you give me your ID in the chat? So I will add you manually into this attendance tool as a attending student. Thank you. So in the LMS, I have given all the assignments as of now. So basically, the assignments up to number 6 are given. So you can attempt all those assignments. So that may be all for the IoT module. So in the last week, I think I gave an assignment related to the SDN architecture. So the last assignment, which is uploaded here, is about the SDN technology, and so you can do that and upload as well. For the lateral entry students also, I will give a separate link. So you will have that deadline, a separate deadline, I think, for that. So if you anyway, I will try to extend the deadline for this maybe, if because I think you have to uh, focus on the project. So I will give an extended deadline to this assignment. So with this, the assignments will end, which is, I think, a good news to you. So another important thing I want to mention in this class is that I'm organizing a visit to oral facility to observe the IoT applications in that place with regard to smart home IoT, then manufacturing based IoT or industrial IoT, and then smart agri IoT applications. So I will share a Google form uh, that you need to complete, that will give me details about the students who will be participating in this field visit. So I will be, planning this field visit by the first week of February. If you're not okay with that, let me know kindly. So on Friday, during the time slot that we have for the lecture from 2 to 4, hopefully we'll be able to go and come back. So for the regular students, do you have any lectures at 4? I mean, on Fridays at 4, do you have any lectures? 4 to 5 or something? Uh, is there any person from the regular students in here? If you can answer regarding your free time slots, I think I can arrange that time slot correctly. Ubindu, are you here?
Yes, madam.
Yeah, okay. So do you know, like, whether on Fridays you have a free time slot for a field visit uh, to Meegoda, I think Meegoda Oral Station?
Madam, we have a lecture on 11 to 12. That's it. Otherwise, we are free.
You don't have the other embedded system module on that day?
Yeah, we have, but we don't have any lectures on that day.
Uh-huh. So you have what actually? Do you have any submissions on Friday?
There are some submissions, madam. Other than that, there are no so that module.
Uh-huh. So is it going to be a problem if I arrange like a field visit on that day? I mean, because if you have submissions, then you won't be able to participate, right? Is it like that, or will you be able to do the submission on another day?
Uh, we have discussed it with madam. Then after that, we can confirm on that. I think
Okay.
we can wait to the things because
Yeah.
those.
The submissions are until when actually? Do you have submission deadlines on like February days also, like February first
No,
week, second week, likewise.
only up
Uh,
to
January.
yeah.
Then I think it's going to be okay, I think so. So yeah, thanks, Windu. So I will I will try to schedule it on a Friday then. So thank you. Okay, so I will share a Google form with you and the students. You can actually participate in that field visit, and please mark your confirmation in that Google form once I share it with you. I will share it as soon as possible by maybe maybe by this week during maybe through the LMS or through the Google Space that I'm maintaining for this module. So I think with that I think it's about the field visit. So now I think I will discuss about the network slicing part. Network slicing part. So the network slicing is an important concept for IoT networks. So IoT networks can be enabled through network slicing technology also. The network slicing means the process of creating networks, virtual networks for different applications of the network. So in here we call these different virtual networks we are creating as slices or network slices, which are kind of virtual slices which are created for different applications. So several slices for different applications. So basically, if you have a conventional network, the conventional network will be like this. And if you have different devices connected to a base station, the devices will be requesting different services from the network. So if there are devices which require different, services, let's say like the devices, some of the devices want higher data rates, high data rates. So some of the applications need to transmit data with a very high data rate. And some of the applications want the data to be very reliable in communication and achieve low delay in the communication. And then there could be some other applications where we want to upload data from multiple devices at the same time. So different kind of application scenarios can be there, and requirements can be there. Different requirements can be there for different customers who are connected to the network. So based on those different requirements, the network has to adapt to the different customer requirements. So each and every time the network has to adapt to the different requirements of the customer. However, the network slicing concept is proposed to dedicate a certain slice for each different application requirement. For each different requirement, the separate slice is created uh, by the network. So what are these slices and how are these slices defined? So one possible way of creating these network slices is given in this figure. So different slices or different virtual networks are created for each different application such that the virtual network can address the application requirements. So different applications require different, performances, as I mentioned before. So different applications means like there are different applications that are defined in these technical terms. One thing is enhanced mobile broadband communication, which means that the enhanced mobile broadband means like they need a lot of data rate, high data rate. So mobile broadband communication means like high bandwidth requirements are required by the devices in this network, in this type of networks. So these included, transmissions of, transmissions of messages in video format, and then augmented reality, any kind of movie watching. The kind of applications include enhanced mobile broadband. So people who want high data rates will request for enhanced mobile broadband services. If some services, some users want to use URLLC, URLC performance, which means that the users are requesting for reliable and low latency communications. So this is the type of communication that involves, vehicle to vehicle communications or vehicle to infrastructure communications, where the vehicle will be moving rapidly and the vehicle needs information from the network as quickly as possible. So in cases where you need very, low latent data, URLLC communication needs to be supplied to the user, which means that we need to give information back to the user as frequently as possible. We need to update the user as frequently as possible. So the network has to adjust the its architecture based on the requirement. So autonomous cars, vehicle to vehicle communication, those kind of applications will be discussed under the URLLC application. Also emergency services fall under URLLC communications. So those kind of customers who request for low latent or low delay communications can access the URLLC slice. So there will be a slice for EMBB or enhanced mobile broadband. Then there will be a separate slice for URLC, and then there will be a separate slice for MMTC. MMTC means massive machine type communications. So massive machine type communications include communications that happen with massive number of devices connected to the network. Like if there are millions of devices connected to the network per certain square kilometer, then we call that communication as massive machine type communications. If there are millions of sensors in a certain unit square kilometer, then we call that massive machine type communication is available. In that case, that all these devices has to be catered. So in such kind of applications, MMTC application has to be addressed, and for that a separate slice can be created. So although like we create these virtual slices separately for each of the applications, the same hardware is used for implementing all these three slices. So how is that done? So that is the question. The virtual networks are there separated for each application. However, all these three will be included in the same physical hardware infrastructure. Only the controlling part will be added. Will be actually added, and will be implementing the slicing function. So the network slicing is basically something that will be done by the controller, and also the dynamic controlling of the network has to be done in here. So I think these are the basic parameters that we discussed earlier: EMBB, URLLC, and massive machine type communication. So these are three basic types of requirements that the customers will request for. So network slices can be divided in based on these requirements. So this is about 5G and 6G. So the 5G and 6G, those technologies and the standards that are defined are given in here. So basically the standards are defining us that the customers will request for these kind of broadband services and massive machine type communications, and ultra reliable low latency communications. So based on those customer specific requirements, uh, the communication should happen. So those are defined under 5G standards. So under 6G standards, some more use cases are defined, and the number of use cases have increased under 6G standard. So all these standards of the communication has to be also met when we are implementing the network slicing. So that is what's meant here basically. So when we are doing network slicing, we need all those things taken into consideration, and we need the help of software-defined networking, network function virtualization techniques, edge computing techniques, network orchestration or network management techniques, network function chaining techniques, how we can combine different network functions together to get a certain you know expected goal. So we have to combine different network functions to obtain a certain output from the network, or to get some network operation done. Then network slicing management and control has to be done, and the security and privacy of the network has to be maintained. So this is regarding network slicing and how we can get benefit from the network slicing. So I think I will resume with the network slicing or in the next class as well, at the beginning of next class. So any questions up to this point? Any questions? Is it okay if I give a quiz at the moment, or would you like me to give a quiz in the next class? However, I think I will. I think I will have the next class in the next Tuesday, I think. So I will maybe give another quiz in the next Tuesday class, and maybe not in this class. So if you have any questions, I will answer those questions. With regard to network slicing, I believe since there's some theory parts that are involved in there, I will maybe explain those parts in a new class. Also, I mean, I want to start the section about the computing technologies in the next class. And after that, I have to cover the section regarding industrial IoT in the next classes. So what I want to do is that I want to cover cloud computing, industrial IoT in the next classes. So that will be basically comprising all the components in this module. Finally, I will do a section regarding machine learning and how we can use machine learning for IoT applications. So that will be regarding the content of the module. Also, I think you need to, go and be aware of the percentages of the assignment marks on your final grade. So the continuous assessment marks will be consisting of about 30% of the final grade, and so it's given in the LMS, and the rest of the mark will be coming from the end exam. So the end exam actually carries the highest amount of marks for the final grade. So if you get good marks for the end exam, you can make sure that your final grade will be good. So for that, so I think that the end exam must be completed well. Also, I want you to understand that inside this 70% or this end exam, you will be having some MCQ questions. So if you have the questions completed correctly, there will be like a good amount of marks added from that. Anyway, like during, I think I will give you a model paper that will include the such kind of sample template paper. So you will be able to maybe understand how it affects the final grade. So the grading of each of the module, each of the components will be indicated in the sample paper. So we will discuss the sample paper also, and by this month, I will try to complete the content. Then in the next month, in the first week, we will hopefully go in the field visit, and also we will discuss the sample paper. Then those things will be finished. So by this month, since you are doing the project, I will, do all the theory classes during this session, this time slot, and you can complete the project as soon as possible during the hours you have on Friday. If you have any questions, you can come and meet me any time during that time slot in the Friday class from 2 to 4. So if you want, you can come and meet me and discuss any concerns. Uh, so that is regarding that. So any questions regarding today's class? So if you don't have any questions, I think I would like to conclude the lecture. I will share the Google form for visiting the uh, going on the field visit with you. So what is the preferred medium? Is it okay if I share it with the in the LMS? Will you get that information? I will share in the Google space. Are you there in the Google space? Every one of you? Right. Can you, is it okay or not? Can you let me know? I need to inform. Uh, maybe anyway, by next week, Tuesday, again, I will mention this and I will get the count by next Tuesday. I think I will share that Google form in the next class. So anyway, thank you for attending today's class.